life easier than ever. Welcome to the new symbol of health. See all the changes online at memorial.health.
Meet FarmOp Capital, the lender who has reinvented operating loans by basing them on your ability to produce, not how much land you own. They offer unique terms, including early access to funds that give you the power of cash buying and the ability to market your crop when the time is right. Start exploring all the what ifs you've ever imagined for your business at farmopcapital.com today.
It is 7 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Friday morning. We start the day under cloudy skies in Clinton. At this time, temperatures 29 degrees. It feels like 31 outside.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
A dense fog advisory is in effect until 9 a.m. this morning for much of the listening area. Hazardous driving conditions this morning included low visibility. Temperatures dropped below freezing, so that may include some patchy, slippery spots along bridges and overpasses. And for folks in DeWitt County, I encountered several spots that were slick, much to my surprise. So do be careful out there as you are going through your morning commute today. Slow down, use your headlights, and give yourself plenty of distance between you and those ahead of you. Again, I did encounter some slippery spots. I was a little surprised by that this morning. So if you're traveling, at least in DeWitt County this morning, give yourself an extra minute or two here for today. We'll see chances of rain and snow later this afternoon into the evening. Again, that patchy dense fog expected to last until about 11 this morning, with a dense fog advisory in effect until 9 o'clock this morning. Temperatures today in the upper 30s and east wind at 5 to 15 miles per hour today. Snow tonight, 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. Lows in the lower 20s. East-northeast winds tonight at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Could see a slight chance of early snow Saturday with a gradual clearing. Saturday temperatures in the mid-20s. Northeast winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour Saturday. Clear skies Saturday night, a low of 12 degrees. Sunday sunny, highs in the upper 20s. Your Martin Luther King Monday, cloudy, a high in the lower to mid-30s. And Tuesday, partly sunny with a high in the lower 40s. Across central Illinois, as we roll through this Friday, cloudy skies. Right now in Bloomington, 28 degrees, 29 in Hayworth, 30 in Leroy and Farmer City, 31 in Champaign, 30 in Monticello, 31 in Decatur, 28 in Mount Pulaski, 26 in Lincoln, 26 in Springfield, 27 in Peoria. In Clinton, 29 degrees under cloudy skies. It feels like 31 degrees outside. Winds are calm out of the east-northeast. Right now, 98% humidity and very low visibility here for this morning. Again, that dense fog advisory in effect until 9 o'clock this morning, with patchy fog expected to last until about 11 this morning as well. Get weather anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From regional radio, DeWittDailyNews.com, and the WHOW app. This is local information making a difference.
Top of the morning, 9 minutes after 7 o'clock. Coverage of news today is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Last year, DeWitt County Museum Director Joey Long, along with John Warner, introduced to the public an aviation exhibit that is going to be coming to the museum this year, telling the stories of those involved in aviation in DeWitt County. On the WHOW Morning Show Thursday, Long told regional radio they are receiving a tremendous response to its call for artifacts, stories, and pictures of those in DeWitt County that maybe flew in wars or were involved in other aspects of aviation.
Title of the exhibit pretty much tells it all. Mm-hmm. It's Prairie Flyers, a century of aviation history in DeWitt County. And what a history it is. I think that when the idea came to develop and create this exhibit, we knew that, there would be stories out there and quite a bit to tell, quite a bit to share. Just in the time that we've been, on the ground working on this, actively collecting the stories and whatnot, we've had so many stories come in, and we're really happy about that. We're happy to have more, but this has really taken off beyond what I think any of us really expected when we started this project. So we're really happy about that and just want to keep the momentum going. And one interesting thing is we didn't go into this thinking it will be this, this, and this. We went into it knowing that we would design the exhibit based on what came to us. So, we are open to things, and this is growing and evolving, and it's just becoming a wonderful story. So we would like to kind of catch people up and remind everyone to keep those great stories and artifacts coming. And we're just really happy to share this good news today. It's been a great response. So, obviously, as you said, Seth, the sign set up there at the corner of Center and Woodlawn Street there at the museum has drawn a great deal of attention, made people really excited about it. Can't look at that graphic and not be excited about it. And that image was created by Dennis Hambucken, who is designing the exhibit. So that certainly shows you, what kind of talent we have with us. Then as far as Facebook, the Facebook page that we created has grown and grown. A lot of enthusiastic comments. That's one way that people have, reached out to us to tell us their stories. For example, just yesterday through Facebook, I had a lady say, I thought about this, my uncle and his contribution, to aviation and his ties to DeWitt County, and I just couldn't let him not be mentioned. I just had to share his story and have him included in this exhibit. Yeah, they're reaching out through social media, calling the museum, stopping by the museum, sending an email, just, all different ways. But we're getting the word out there and we're getting a fantastic response.
Warner believes this is going to be a very popular exhibit for everyone, not just those in DeWitt County, and is very, very happy that people have embraced this idea.
I would say on behalf of all of us, we're tickled, and we want to say to everyone in the county, thank you very much. And please, let's all continue to work together and keep going. We're delighted. We all suspected that there were wonderful stories and artifacts in the county, and more stories have come to the surface, and we've learned more than we could possibly have imagined. And we think that the county is really going to be tickled by what we get to see in the museum. Aviation touches everything. And, the flights can take off from DeWitt County or land in DeWitt County, but aviation goes everywhere. And so it brings the world to the county and the county to the world.
Edith Brady Lunny has been recruited in this effort to sit down with those that have a story to tell and record their testimonies and ask them questions about their stories. While they have a lot of material already, she is encouraging people to continue to submit those stories and artifacts.
Well, I really am fortunate because I think I have the best job. I scored with that. So I am going out and actually talking with people, visiting them around their dining room tables, and collecting their stories of aviation. And some of these stories I'm sure have not been shared, maybe beyond their closest relatives. So for a lot of people, they're going to be hearing these for the first time. And it's the first time some of them are actually telling them in this way, that someone has sat down and asked them a series of questions and to explain, for example, how they went to Vietnam at 19 and how they were trained as a helicopter pilot. And not just how you survived that, but how did that help you grow as an individual? And then you came back to your farm and carried on your life. Stories like that, a woman whose dad was a TWA pilot. What was that like growing up, having your dad in that field? So, I mean, we've collected some just amazing stories. Obviously, we may not get personally to all of these stories to be collected. So we really want to encourage people to submit their stories to us as well. You can sit down and write a few paragraphs about your experience. Go ahead and do that. And if you have photographs or you have any artifacts, it is amazing to me what people have retained over the years. They still have their flight jackets and their helmets and a cardboard box with 50 medals from their service that they haven't looked at since we said, do you have any? Then they go to the closet and get them out with, and they're very humble about it. And these are things that I can tell from talking with people. they haven't thought about for a long time. So we're just going to have a wonderful collection of those stories that people can see through the exhibit, and then put together some kind of a publication of those stories so that we can have those for the future as well.
To get your objects or stories to the museum, contact Long at the museum by calling 217-935-6066, or you can email chmore.homestead@gmail.com. Tri-Valley School Superintendent Dr. David Mauser late last year was named as the new superintendent of Bloomington School District 87, and his replacement at Tri-Valley has been named. On the WHOW Morning Show Thursday, Dr. Mauser told regional radio, pending school board approval, high school principal Ben Durgis has been named the new superintendent. Dr. Mauser says Mr. Durgis was one of two very good internal candidates.
Yeah, so our board made the decision after some discussion to look internally to begin with. We had two excellent candidates, here, and so internally, both of them sitting principals, and so our board actually talked with those folks, and after some discussion and some deliberation, they have tentatively named Mr. Ben Durgis, pending board approval next Wednesday night, as the new superintendent of Tri-Valley Schools. He is our high school principal. He has been our high school principal. This is his 8th year. He's been president of the Heart of Illinois Conference athletically. He was over at Fisher prior to that as an athletic director and assistant principal over there, and then also was a teacher, social studies and history. So he's kind of got a long background in education, and we just think he's going to do a great job. I know our board is really excited about just the continuity it brings, the understanding of culture, the relationships that are already established and built. And so, yeah, we're pretty pumped. It's going to be good. He's really excited, and I'm excited to get to have a semester to work with him to help get him squared away so that we're ready to, rock and roll July 1st when I go on to the next thing and he takes over officially.
According to Dr. Mauser, Durgis brings a good work ethic that is relationship driven and is very creative. He also has a wealth of experience. Dr. Mauser believes that Durgis would be a great superintendent in any district and feels fortunate to have him stepping into that role at Tri-Valley.
Well, Ben he's really creative, and that's one of the things I think that stands out the most to me. I've seen him work really hard to develop relationships with teaching staff and community members, over the last 8 years. I think coming into a new community as a high school principal, especially in a small community like ours or a small school district, you really have to create those relationships. People want to know what you're about. And so he's put in that time. He's been at all the ball games, been at all the community activities, and has established those relationships. So, you got a super creative guy. You've got somebody that's really smart. I think he's got experience with curriculum. He has, he's been through some battles, and I think he's ready to go. And certainly this is one of those situations too, where, you watch people come through and you hate to see them move out of a position that they're really good at, but that you also want great people to be able to move up and have those opportunities. And so, I'm really confident that he'd be a great superintendent anywhere. And I think we're really blessed to have him step in here. I know our board's really excited.
Dr. Mauser believes there is a benefit to hiring internally. He explains having an internal hire provides continuity to the community and the district, but they also understand the culture of the district.
I think if you believe as a district, as a board of education, as a community, that you've got a good thing going, and that there's culture that's created, and that's something that you want to maintain, then it makes a lot of sense, and I think it always makes sense to look internally first, and I think districts like the ones you've just described, they pour into their administrators and their staff. We're training constantly, and in a small district, that is your cabinet, that is your administrative cabinet, and so superintendents are working with principals every day on district issues, and so they're really getting an inside view of kind of what goes on in the position to begin with. And so at the end of the day, I would say, the high school principals, middle school principals, whatever, that are part of these organizations that are working with the superintendent every day to make day in, day out decisions regarding the district, working with the board, they're ready. They've already been in training. And so, if you want continuity, if you want to maintain that climate, you want people that understand, the collective vision of a district, and they're already there to do it, it makes sense. I think a known commodity is better than an unknown commodity in some cases.
Sure.
That's what I think we've seen.
Tri-Valley in the last 18 months has wrapped up a multi-million-dollar facility renovation. Dr. Mauser says with that complete, the biggest things facing Durgis will likely be continuing to bring kids back to where they should be after the learning loss through the pandemic, and also points to overcoming the shortage of teachers.
Yeah, I think it's it's the same things that are facing everybody else. And part of my decision to feel like it was time to consider and to look at something else was really about the work that we've done. And so I do feel, facility wise, we're in a really good spot. We've got a lot of those things going from our strategic plan perspective. We've accomplished a lot of those goals. And so we're kind of ready for that next step. The big thing that everyone's going to be dealing with is going to be learning loss, achievement gap, right? That's number one because of COVID and because of what's taken place. And the second thing I think is going to be a major issue is going to be teacher shortage, people coming into the profession and wanting to continue teaching because this has been a tough go. And we just do not see a lot of applicants coming through, and that's really hard. So really, when you look at learning loss, that's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. Although we're not seeing a ton of it here at Tri-Valley, there's no question there's things that have happened because of COVID that we're going to need to address with students, both from a mental health perspective and then also obviously from an achievement gap perspective, but then along with teachers. And I think the third thing is just navigating, the political nature of what education is becoming at times. And, every day it seems there's a new mandate or, some sort of new strategy that's, put on schools. And I think it's going to be managing all that and being able to do that in a way that keeps kids moving forward.
Dr. Mauser says having Durgis there in the same buildings during the transition is also going to be very beneficial, as he'll have a front row seat to learn and watch Dr. Mauser in person most often. It is 22 minutes after the hour here on this Friday morning. Again, under cloudy skies in Clinton, it is 29 degrees. It feels like 32 degrees outside this morning. Plenty more to get to coming up on the WHOW Morning Show.
New trucks and SUVs are coming here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. This is Scott Baum. Yes, we have new inventory arriving, and you can see what will arrive right on our website. Just click on the pre-order and reserve tab. From there, you will find vehicles in transit and vehicles in production. Or just call our sales staff and we'll help. Find Silverados, Equinoxes, Blazers, including Tahoes and Suburbans, as well as our complete Buick line of SUVs. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
23 minutes after the hour here on this Friday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. The state's top public health doctor says it's too soon to tell if the Omicron variant has peaked. Cases have been surging in recent weeks, hitting the highest levels of the entire pandemic. Illinois Public Health Director Dr. Ngozi Ezike says there has been a slight drop in cases the past couple of days, but that's not enough of a trend to breathe a sigh of relief yet.
You really want to see a consistent decline. I will be the first to announce it when we can say that pretty confidently, crossing my fingers and toes, but I just don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I know we've been asked multiple times over the last couple of days if we've actually seen the peak of the Omicron surge. While it's too soon to tell, but of course, we would all love to report that good news. We know that we have to continue with masking and vaccinations and boosting, and we look to get there soon.
The latest daily totals include more than 37,000 new cases and 142 additional fatalities. Hospitalizations are at an all-time high of 7,380. As of late this week, the state had just 8% of ICU beds available. One of the ways to get more open beds is to have more staff. That's why the state is contracting another 2,048 healthcare workers. More than 900 are already on the job, and 550 more will be here today. IDPH Director Dr. Ngozi Ezike says the entire healthcare system is under strain.
I was on a call with all the chief medical officers of the hospitals across the state today. They all need help. They have a significant number of staff that have left the profession because of the exhaustion and the stress and the trauma that they've endured over the last 2 years. We have a large number of people that are quarantining or actively infected themselves. And so that decreases the total number of beds that are even available, because just having a bed for someone to lie on and you don't have the staff does not count as a bed that you can use.
The state recorded 142 new fatalities Thursday, the highest total since January 7th of 2021. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is warning people of fraudulent coronavirus tests, vaccines, and treatments as the pandemic continues. Since the arrival of the Omicron variant, the increase of testing for COVID has become a concern. Scarcity often leads to potential scams for a product that does not exist, the compromise of personal identifiable information, or the increase of deceptive advertising. Better Business Bureau investigator Don O'Brien says fake testing sites have started to pop up.
At BBB, we're worried about people possibly, giving out their personal information to these folks. What they might ask for a social security number. They're going to ask for, maybe payment information, Medicare information. You never know what they're going to ask for. So, just be careful if you're going to a testing site. The best way to find a good testing site is by going to your local Department of Health website and see where they actually have these sites set up.
Robocalls are being sent to customers, directing them to a website that looks like a clinic or medical supply company offering COVID tests. To receive a test, a credit card or a form needs to be completed with personal information. That, O'Brien reminds, should be an immediate red flag. Illinois Secretary of State Jesse White says drivers' services facilities will be closed for another week. Secretary of State's spokesperson Henry Hapt says the decision was made out of an abundance of caution as the pandemic continues. Offices and drivers' facilities will open to the public on January 24th and 25th.
We felt that delaying the in-person transactions for one more week was the right move, and we continue to encourage the public to conduct business online at ilsos.gov.
He says this should not cause too big of a hassle.
Driver's license and ID card expirations have been extended until March 31st. And Secretary White also extended the expirations for CDLs until January 31st for those CDLs that expired between November 1st, 2021 and the end of January of this year.
At ilsos.gov, you can order a duplicate license or renew your license plate sticker. Hapt reminds the expiration date for state driver's licenses and ID cards has been extended to March 31st. Secretary of State Jesse White's office is announcing $6 million in grants to libraries trying to cope during the pandemic. The grants are going to 211 school, academic, and public libraries to help provide essential services, says Secretary of State spokesperson Henry Hapt. There are 3 types of grants being awarded.
The first one is called Bouncing Back from the Pandemic. And basically, this is an effort to allow people to continue to look for jobs and employment opportunities through their local library.
The second grant focuses on libraries offering more digital services, and the third helps libraries restore the ability to offer clean and safe spaces while preventing the spread of COVID.
And then lastly, the final category was called On the Road to Recovery, and the majority of the grant monies went for this grant, and it focuses on efforts to restore the library's capacity to operate and offer clean and safe library spaces while preventing the spread of COVID-19.
The grants are funded by state and federal resources, including the American Rescue Plan. Coverage of news today is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Good news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington.